الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. الحمد لله كما ينبغي لجلال وجهه ولعظيم سلطانه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله واحد لا من قلة، وموجود لا من علة، بالبر معروف وبالإحسان موصوف، معروف بلا غاية وموصوف بلا نهاية. وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدًا عبد الله المجتبى ونبيه المصطفى ورسوله إلى كافة الورى. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم إنا قد خرجنا من حولنا وقوتنا إلى حولك وقوتك، ومن علمنا إلى علمك، ومن إرادتنا إلى إرادتك، وأعوذ بك أن أقول زورا أو أخشى فجورا أو أكون بك مغرورا. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم، ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكون خيرا منهن، ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب، بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان، ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم، ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا، أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه، واتقوا الله إن الله تواب رحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا، إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم، إن الله عليم خبير. Dear sisters and brothers, these few verses that I just recited from Surah Al-Hujurat are quite interesting to think about. The first two ayat of these surahs, Allah addresses Al-Mu'minun, where He says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. And we all know that, inshallah, since we are believers, then when Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, immediately we have to say, yes, sir. What is it? Ya Allah, what is it that you want from us? We must listen carefully. And I'll come back to that in a minute. However, in the third verse, in the third ayah, Allah did not address Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu only. He said, Ya ayyuhan nas, O you people. So this verse is addressed to the whole of humanity. Allah says, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, waja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu. We have created you from men and women, and we have made you into peoples and tribes so that you interact. Inna akramakum 'inda Allahi atqakum, inna Allaha 'alimun khabir. Those closest to Allah are those who have the maximum piety. And it's quite interesting how Allah is addressing people and saying, I've created you from man and women. He could have created us from man only, as He created Sayyidina Hawa, or from women only, as He created Jesus, or He could have created us like He created Adam, from turab, just kun fayakun. But He has created us from a man and a woman, because this is how families and then tribes and then peoples arise. So He's explaining to us that this is how we were created, and we were created this way so that we can interact with each other. لِتَعَارَفُوا. Now, let's go back to the first two ayat. The first ayah where Allah is addressing Al-Mu'minun, and in the second one as well. he is giving us the way that believers should interact with each other. So, if you decide that you believe in Allah and you're going to follow Allah's ways, then you must follow the instructions. So in the first verse, it says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَسْخَرْ قَوْمٌ مِّنْ قَوْمٍ عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُونُوا خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمْ. Do not scoff each other. Do not make fun from one another, because the other people that you're making fun of might be better than you. وَلَا نِسَاءٌ مِّن نِسَاءٍ. And the same for women. Do not make fun of other women. Do not scoff them. They might be better than you. وَلَا تَلْمِزُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Do not insult each other by nicknames. And do not defame each other. Very clear instructions to those who believe. If you are a believer, these are the instructions that Allah is giving us for interaction. He even goes to make it quite clear how backbiting is forbidden. How backbiting is one of the kaba'ir, it's one of the major sins. Where he says that those who backbite each other are exactly like somebody who is eating the flesh of his dead brother. Is this something that you would like to do? Would you like to eat the flesh of your dead brother? If you do, then backbite. But if you do backbiting, it is exactly like eating the flesh of your dead brother. Then he goes on to the next verse and he says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ إِنَّ بَعْضَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ. Avoid a lot of bad thoughts. Avoid a lot of suspicion. Do not suspect your brothers and your sisters. You shouldn't do that, because most of these thoughts, and it's interesting how the verse is said, إِنَّ بَعْضَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ إِنَّ بَعْضَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ. Try to avoid a lot of these acts, because these acts, most of them are ithm, is a sin. So even bad thoughts, you think badly of your brother or your sister, this is a sin. But it's interesting how the verse then moves on. اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا. When you suspect somebody, the next step is going to be trying to investigate your suspicion. You know, I think that this chap, for example, drinks alcohol. So I might follow him to see where he goes. And this becomes the next stage, which is spying. And Allah tells us, do not spy on each other. Do not look for each other's faults. Do not go spying on each other. Because if you do that, then you move into the third and the major sin, which is you're going to start talking about it. Do you know what? I followed my brother so-and-so yesterday, and I saw him walking into a pub, and I looked at him, and he had a glass of beer in his hand. Then I go talking about him. Then I've fallen into backbiting, because then I'm now talking about my brother behind his back. So one thing leads to the other. Allah tells us in these ayat that there are codes of conduct, that there are ways for us to interact with each other. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that إِنَّ اللَّهَ حَرَّمَ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِ دَمِهِ وَعِرْضِهِ وَأَنْ يُضَلَّ بِهِ ظَنَّ السُّوءِ. Allah has made it forbidden for a Muslim to kill another Muslim. His blood is haram, his ird, his reputation, his honor is haram, and to even think about him in a bad way is haram. The Sahaba asked the Prophet, what is riba? What is meant by backbiting or riba? And the Prophet says, al-riba dhikruka akhaka bima yakra. To talk about your brother or your sister, of course, in a way that he or she would hate. So the Sahaba asked, even if this is a true thing, so I might say that this person is, for example, very stingy, and he is stingy, or he's short, or he's tall, or whatever. And this is true, even if it is true. And the Prophet replied, yes. إن كان ما قلت فيه, if you say something that is in him, then this is riba. But if you say something that is not in him, i.e. it's not really true, this is buhtan. This is even worse than riba. That is falsehood. So you're accusing your brother, your sister of something that is false. This is falsehood. البهتان أن تقول في أخيك ما ليس فيه. ومن بهت مؤمنا بما ليس فيه. This is the rest of the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. حبسه الله في طينة الخبال. طينة الخبال is the lowest place in hell, which has all the secretions, the excreta of the people in hell. So if you accuse your brother or your sister of something that is not in them, i.e. you accuse them falsely, this is where you're going to end up in hellfire. Prophet Muhammad makes it quite clear. The Quran then takes on from there to tell us, what do you do? You know, somebody comes to you and talks to you and says, I've got some good news, or I've got some bad news. I've got some news about so and so. The Quran says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. Be careful. If somebody brings you news, or somebody brings you something about your brother or your sister, be careful. Take a step back. Make sure of what's being said. You might harm some people wrongly, and then you're going to regret it. So, very important to be careful of that. So, just to cover this, it's a big subject, but just to cover it very quickly, there are 3 levels. There is riba, which is backbiting, and this is one of the kaba'ir anyway. And then there is buhtan, which is falsehood. And then the third one, which is ifk. And we all know qissat al-ifk of Sayyidah Aisha, which is repeating false news or repeating news. So somebody comes to me and says, do you know, I found that Mr. So-and-so does A, B, and C. So I move on and I go and tell my other friend, do you know what, I heard that Mr. So-and-so does A, B, and C. And I don't know whether it's true or not. And I fall into a major sin. Just by doing this. For the sake of what? For the sake of passing time? Or for the sake of having fun? I fall into a major sin. Maybe in some other khutbah we will talk about how can you get out of this sin, because it's a major sin. And it's not easy, believe me. It's very, very hard to get out of it. But anyhow. So we've been talking about the don'ts in the code of conduct. The Prophet, however, ﷺ, tells us that there is a do that we have to do. He says, "Man radda an arda akhihi fil ghayb, radda Allah an wajhihi an-nar yawm al-qiyamah." If you hear people talking about your brother and or your sister in a bad way behind their backs, then defend them. If you defend them, Allah will defend you from the hellfire on the day of judgment. So you have a duty. If you hear somebody backbiting somebody else, you don't just sit there and listen. You have a duty to defend them. And if for any reason you're not in a position to do that, then leave the place. But if you sit and listen, you are falling into falsehood. The Prophet ﷺ tells us in another hadith, "Al-Muslim akhul Muslim, la yakhunu wa la yakdibu, wa la yakhdilu." A Muslim is a brother of another Muslim. He does not betray him. He does not let him down. He does not lie to him. كل مسلم على المسلم حرام عرضه وماله ودمه. Every Muslim has got things that another Muslim must protect. His blood. He must protect his honor. And he must protect his money. You can't take money that does not belong to you. التقوى ها هنا. And the Prophet says this is where the taqwa is, in the heart. This is where Allah looks. بحسب امرئ مسلم أن يحقر أخاه المسلم. It's a bad thing, it's a sin to look down at your brother or your sister, to try and degrade them. In Surah At-Tawbah, Allah tells us, المؤمنون والمؤمنات بعضهم أولياء بعض يأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر. Mu'minun and mu'minat, the believers, both men and women, are awliya. What's the meaning of awliya? It means they're allies to each other. They help each other. They support each other. They are friends. They are protectors. This is how we should interact. That's how we should be to each other. This is how Allah tells us to be. It's not a question of just saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, praying 5 times a day, fasting Ramadan, doing your zakah. This is all great. This is all great. But let's remember the ayah that we all know. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Ask anyone sitting here, anyone at all. Yes, Allah tells us, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. He has only created us to worship Him. Worship is not acts of worship that we do. These are important parts. So prayer is important. Fasting is important. Doing your zakah is important. But think about it. How many times do you pray a day? 5 times a day takes you what? Half an hour, an hour? Even if you do qiyam at night, 2 hours, 3 hours out of 24 hours. You fast for what? For 1 month a year out of 12 months? You do zakah 2.5% of your money? Does this fulfill the ayah that says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ? I've only created ins and jinn but to worship me? No, of course it doesn't. So worship should be in every act in life. Worship should be in everything we do. And in this particular ayah, the ayah that I quoted at the beginning of the khutbah, Allah tells us that this is how you worship Allah in your interaction with other people. This is how you worship Allah in interacting with people, whether it's friends, family, just colleagues, or even people you just meet. Now, we've been talking about a lot of the do nots. So do not backbite, do not do this, do not. What about the do's? There are a lot of positive do's that we can do. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, من نفس عن مؤمن كربة من كرب الدنيا نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. Whoever helps a believer out of a tight spot, out of trouble, whatever it is, then Allah will help him out of a tight spot on the day of judgment. The Prophet then says, من كان في حاجة أخيه كان الله في حاجته. If you are there standing by your brother or your sister, Allah will be there standing by you. It's a great deal. Very simple. You know, I can help you out because you're in some trouble, and I can help you with no problem at all, with no trouble at all. Allah will then help me when I'm in trouble. The Prophet says, Allah fi auni al-abdi ma dama al-abdu fi auni akhihi. Allah will help those who help their brothers. So there are a lot of things. Helping other people, being there for other people, looking for ways to help other people are ways of worship. It's important. The way you can help other people can be simple things. It can be very simple things. It can be just standing by them, a word of support, a phone call, some money if they need money, just physical support or psychological support. Many, many ways. Now, there's a very interesting hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ where actually it was a dua, it's supplication, where he says, Allahumma man waliya min amri ummati shay'an farafiqa bihim farfuq bih. If whoever is in charge of anything and he makes life of other people easy, then make his life easy. وَمَنْ وَلِيَ مِنْ أَمْرِ شَيْئًا فَشَقَّ عَلَيْهِمْ فَاشْقُقْ عَلَيْهِ. And if whoever is in charge of people for anything and makes their life difficult, then Ya Allah, make his life difficult. So if you look around you and see people who are saying everything is difficult in life, why is everything hard on me? Because you are making everything hard on other people. If you are in charge, say if somebody needs some papers for you to sign just to make their work go, do it for them. Don't give them a hard time. Somebody calls you and they need something from you, do it for them. Don't make life hard on them, because if you make life hard on them, Allah will make your life hard on you as well. A hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ where people were asking him, O Prophet Muhammad, who is the most loved of people to Allah? Who does Allah love most? And the Prophet says, أَحَبُّ النَّاسُ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ لِلنَّاسِ. Allah loves most those who are useful to other people. So if you want Allah to love you, try to make yourself useful to other people. And this level, as I said, it doesn't have to be things that are too elaborate. It can be very simple things. It can be things such as helping an elderly neighbor, for example, taking their garbage out because they can't do it themselves. Just make yourself helpful and Allah will love you. وأحب الأعمال, that's the rest of the hadith. وأحب الأعمال إلى الله سرور تدخله على مسلم. And the most loved actions that Allah loves most is surur, to make somebody happy. Takshif bihi kurba, help him out in a tight spot. Or help him out pay a debt. Or feed him if he's hungry. And now listen to this very important bit. That's hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by the way. Still the hadith of Prophet Muhammad. He says, وَلَنْ أَمْشِي مَعَ أَخٍ فِي حَاجَةٍ, to go along with a brother and help him fulfill something in need that he has. أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ, is more loved to me مِنْ أَنْ أَعْتَكِفْ فِي هَذَا الْمَسْجِدِ شَهْرًا, to do i'tikaf. I'tikaf where? I'tikaf in the Masjid al-Nabawi. To do i'tikaf there for 1 month. It says helping your brother, going along with your brother to help him is better to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam than doing i'tikaf for a whole month. وَمَنْ قَصِمَ غَيْظُهُ فَلَوْ شَاءَ أَنْ يُمْضِيهِ مَلَأَ اللَّهُ قَلْبَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ رِضًا. And if you manage to control your anger when you can do whatever you want, then Allah is going to fill your heart on the day of judgment with رضا. ومن مشى مع أخيه في حاجة حتى يقضيها له ثبت الله قدمه يوم تزل الأقدام. And whoever goes along with his brother or his sister until they finish whatever they want to finish, Allah is going to make him have a firm stand on the day of judgment. You want a firm stand on the day of judgment when you are crossing Sirat, when you are all in need of any help, then help people now and Allah will help you on the day of judgment. However, this does not mean that you help your brother or your sister on anything, because Allah tells us in the Quran, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. You help them in the correct things, in the good things, in the things that are allowable, not to transgress. So, the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I won't go into the details again because of the time, but when he says, "Ansur akhaka," stand by your brother, ظالما أو مظلوما, whether he is a transgressor or whether he is being transgressed against. And they said, okay, transgress against, we understand, but how do you stand by him when he's a transgressor? He said, show him the right way. So the right thing to do, if you see that your brother is doing wrong, your brother is transgressing on somebody else's rights, then the right thing to do is to stop him from doing it. Show him the right way. So there are many ways that we can worship Allah. There are many ways that we can make our life a means of worship to Allah. As he told us that this is the purpose of our life. And the way we interact with each other, the way we treat our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our colleagues at work, our neighbors, everybody can become a means of worshipping of Allah to fulfill the purpose of our creation. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. In the Hadith Qudsi, Allah tells us that He asks people, Ya ibn Adam, Allah says, Ya ibn Adam, son of Adam, I was sick and you did not visit me. And the person will respond, Allah, how can I visit you? You are the Lord of the worlds. And he says, did you not know that so and so was ill and you never visited them or even phoned them or asked about them? Ya ibn Adam, استطعمتك ولم تطعمني. Son of Adam, I asked you to feed me and you never fed me. And the man would say, hang on, Allah, how can I feed you? You are the Lord of the worlds. And he says, did you not know that so and so was hungry? He asked you to feed them and you never fed them. يا ابن آدم استسقيتك ولم تسقيني. I have asked you for water and you never gave me water to drink. And the same response again. So, helping other people means that Allah will help you. Helping other people are things that Allah will appreciate. In the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he says, خَيْرُ النَّاسِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ لِلنَّاسِ. The best of people are those who are most useful to other people. So that this khutbah does not just become theoretical. I wanted to touch on some practical aspects that we can apply to our lives. So, on an individual basis, each and every person should consider what he or she can offer to the people around him. If you find that people are asking you for help, these are presents from Allah. He is giving you the chance to become helpful. Do not feel, oh my gosh, this person is phoning again, he needs my help again. He keeps nagging. I won't answer his phone. Don't do that. When somebody is seeking help from you, this is a present from Allah. He's giving you a chance to take thawab. Within our community, within the masjid, we should do more. We should be more of a community center rather than just a masjid. We shouldn't just come here every Friday for our prayers in Ramadan just to do our taraweeh. We should try to find means of helping the community, of helping each other. We should look for opportunities to help other people. And we should have think tanks to define venues of cooperation and help. I think that this is something we need to look at seriously, and this is something that we should try to do our best for. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك واغننا بفضلك عمن سواك. اللهم ارحمنا بترك المعاصي أبدا ما أحييتنا وارحمنا بترك ما لا يعنينا وارزقنا حسن النظر فيما يرضيك عنا وألزم قلوبنا حفظ كتابك كما علمتنا. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم واستغفروه يغفر لكم وأقيموا الصلاة يرحمكم.